What up, Cane fans? Welcome to the Cafecito and Cane Show. We are here just 48 hours away from our Week 2 matchup with Bethune Cookman. We are now, 4 days removed from our victory against Notre Dame. I can't believe it's in the rear view already. We were waiting months and months and months. It was 7 months away, then 5 months away. Then it was right around the corner. Then it happened. Now, just like that, it's in the past. So crazy how time flies. But Miami is still 1-0, still celebrating. Just hopping on here to discuss a little bit of news, some recruiting rumors that we should get to, specifically the Kenton Dobson thing. So I'll touch on that first, and then afterwards we'll just kind of get my final thoughts on some of the things that have been discussed in a lot of the Cane shows this week about the Notre Dame game. What people like, what people didn't like. Now that emotion is taken out of it, and you can look back, you can kind of look back at it more critically, and just kind of talking about what we want to see in this upcoming tune-up with Bethune Cookman. But first, that rumor. It's not really a rumor. It's it was a prediction dropped by Steve Wiltfong, who if he drops a prediction, or whether it's for a recruit committing or a recruit flipping, usually there's some substance to it. He doesn't just drop those for no reason. So earlier today, Kenton Dobson, Miami's elite DB commit for 2027, local kid, was I think he's ranked in the top 80 on 247 overall as a player. So some consider him like a borderline 5-star player once we get to that 2027 cycle. And it was understood by many that he probably would reclass to the 2026 class, which would be an even nicer boost to that DB room. But earlier today, Steve Wiltfong made the prediction that he will be flipping his commitment to North Carolina, of all schools. Now I look at that and say, at first I saw it and I didn't believe it. I thought it was fake, and I heard some things since then, and it's like, what? If it's really Steve Wiltfong dropping that, then there's got to be something to it. So, Coach Cristobal's not going to let that one go that easily. So we'll see what happens with his commitment, but there's got to be some smoke to that rumor if he's the one dropping that prediction. So Kenton Dobson again is predicted to flip his commitment to North Carolina. I don't know what Dobson saw this past week, seeing the Tar Heels getting blown out and seeing us with our huge victory and saying, yeah, I want to go to Chapel Hill. So obviously there's other things at play here. I don't know if it's NIL related. I don't know if it's the chance to play right away. It could be a lot of different things. So we'll see how the next few weeks unfold. Early signing day is in December. It'll be here before we know it. So, we'll find out soon probably what he will end up deciding. Learn to walk with canes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I always get compliments on this background. Your boy got a green screen again, so it's nice to have that. I don't have the plain old white wall behind me anymore. I finally got a green screen that I could just put flat up against the wall. So, yeah, it's nice. Adds a little something to the show. Jacoby Graggs, go Canes, pack the rock. Hopefully all that stuff that we've been reading about there only being a few hundred tickets left for the Bethune-Cookman game is true, and the fans really do pack the rock for that game. That would be great. That would warm my heart to see. To turn on, I won't be there, unfortunately, but to turn on ESPN, ESPN Plus or ACC Go Network, whatever the hell it's called, to turn on whatever channel it is and to see that stadium full for a game like this would be fantastic. Hoodie Girl, yes, long time no see. Yeah, I gotta have you on the show one of these days for sure. It's been a while. So hopefully that's true. That there's, even if, look, capacity at the stadium on Sunday was what, 66,000, 67,000. If it is like at 55,000, I'll be very, very pleased for a tune-up game like that. Because let's be honest, this is more of a scrimmage than anything. No disrespect to Bethune, but it's a different level of football. We expect to get off to a big lead early, get our starters out of there in the first half, and get as many guys in there as possible to get some playing time, because we have a very talented recruiting class that just came in. You saw some of them on display on Sunday, like Malachi Tony, like Joshua Moore, guys like that. There's a lot of other guys that I would love to see play. But just to kind of close the book on Notre Dame and give you my final thoughts, now that we're a few days separated and an emotion separated from that game, a lot of people are arguing back and forth about the conservative, the conservative play calling at the end of the game. A lot of people saying that almost cost us the game. Look, I understand that sentiment, and yeah, during the game while I was watching, I was like, man, I wish they'd mix in a little play action just to kind of throw them off, just to, we're running it so much. I like to see them just throw a little fake, maybe throw a little pass to the flat, nothing crazy, just to kind of keep them on their toes a little bit. I would have loved to have seen that. But it is what it is. They did what they did, and it worked. I'm not too mad at it. I understand people being upset that we weren't a little more aggressive. And like I just said, I wish they called, just threw in a little more creativity there at the end during the game. But I understood it at the same time. It's like, look, you got Carson Beck, who's only been practicing with the team, like live practicing in a formal practice setting for 5 weeks now. So that's not very long to build that rapport with the receivers and the tight ends and everybody. That's not a lot of time. So, how much of the playbook can you really practice with them in that short amount of time? So that's why it wasn't we didn't dive really deep into the playbook for that game. As you saw, we didn't really show a ton, which is good that we did that and still got the win. But there's that. There's also the wet ball, the slick field. Players don't have the same footing they would normally have, which affected the running game, if I'm being honest. And also the opponent you're playing. This is probably the best defense we're playing all year, easily the best secondary we're playing all year. So especially once, you took that shot, you got the PI flag, you get into enemy territory, right? At that point, 2 minutes to go, it's like, all right, I can take a couple shots and risk some incompletions, stopping the clock, risk just punting the ball back to them. Because again, if you're being aggressive, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be executed properly. Doesn't necessarily mean the guy's not going to drop a ball, or, there's going to be, somebody's going to slip or whatever. Things could still go wrong. So I kind of get why they did what they did. You're in enemy territory. Don't do anything stupid. Don't risk a turnover. Lean on what you know. Lean on the running game. Lean on your culture, and get those 3, 4, 5 yards of carry. And it ended up working. Not only did it work and set up the game-winning field goal, you forced Notre Dame to burn all 3 of their timeouts. This is, in my opinion, this is what you would normally do in the NFL, because NFL kickers you generally trust more. So it's like, okay, 2 minutes to go. I'm in my kicker's range. Let me just drain this clock. Let me not do anything stupid. Get this field goal and get the hell out of here with the W. That's kind of what Mario was doing. The only thing that made me nervous was, okay, is Carter Davis going to make the kick? And he did. Thankfully, Carter Davis made the kick. He was clutch. Boom, right down the middle. Could have made it from 65. And now you leave Notre Dame with 1 minute to go, minute 5, minute 4 seconds, something like that, with no timeouts. Now you're in a situation where you get a sack, the game's pretty much done. And that's basically what happened. You saw how long it took after a sack to get them lined up again. It chews up more than 20 seconds. So you put them in that scenario, you get a sack or two, the game's over, and that's it. So there's risk in being aggressive in that spot. There's risk in being conservative. I get it, but being conservative worked because, again, I think we have one of the best O-lines in college football, maybe the best. We'll see. By the end of the year, maybe we end up being the best line in college football. So I didn't have too much of a problem with it like some people did. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of nuance to it. And I really understand why they just decided to lean on their run game there. It worked and we got the W, so I'm good with it. That being said, one of my main concerns and one of everybody's main concerns going into the season was the kicking game. Hopefully, after that win, it kind of puts that concern to rest for most people. Carter Davis, look, he won the job from a very experienced guy in Bert Auburn, who I believe was all Big 12 in 2023. So if he was able to win the job from him, he must have been making kicks with some kind of consistency, at least towards the end of camp. We heard different things, but hey, man, he made 2 clutch kicks in this game. And neither one was that easy. The first one wasn't very long, but it was all the way from the left hash mark, drilled it right down the middle, made both extra points, also hit the game winner from 48 yards out. That, again, he could have made it from a mile away. So kicking is such a mental thing. Hopefully he kind of stays in that groove, stays with it himself, doesn't overthink it, and he just keeps kicking them right down the middle all season long. If he's somewhat reliable, if he's an above average kicker this year, I'm good. Heatherman was confident Carr wasn't getting a throw off in that 2-minute drill. Yeah, I agree with you there. And that's something that people don't think of when you're on a game-winning drive. They don't think of the drive afterwards. Because, again, what no one's talking about is burning Notre Dame's 3 timeouts. That was huge. Because if you throw the ball, let's say you throw the ball and there's an incompletion, right? Or even worse, ball gets tipped and it's intercepted. But let's not even say that. Let's say the ball gets knocked down, falls to the turf, incomplete, stops the clock. The difference between a minute left and no timeouts and a minute 40 left and 1 timeout, those are 2 completely different drives. Minute 40 left and 1 timeout, you can do anything now. You have your whole playbook. But when we left them with no timeouts, now you're limited now. Now you're forced to drop back against our DNs, and our DNs can pin their ears back and go after you. So I thought that was smart. I thought Mario was playing the odds there, and I thought he did it well. There was, I don't know if anybody can explain in the chat, but I did see something. Again, I was at the game, so I wasn't aware of this. I think in running the ball, Mario may have thought they only had 2 timeouts left because there was an injury inside of 2 minutes. So maybe that should have burned a timeout. So I think his goal was actually to drain the clock all the way and just kick the winning field goal with no time left. I think there was a little controversy there, but whatever. It ended up working. Pancake looked good. Yes, he did. I take PFF grades with a grain of salt, but 88 blocking grade or 86 blocking grade from Pancake, well done. Well done. I would love to see him come back next year. All of a sudden, I was worried. Obviously, quarterback's going to be a big question mark for next year, but offensive line as well with everybody leaving. But if you can get him to come back with the progress he's made, and you can maybe somehow convince Matthew McCoy to come back, right there, there's 2 experienced guys. Plus Ryan Rodriguez, that's 3. Jackson Cantwell, likely is going to start at right tackle. That's 4 that you're pretty, relatively comfortable with. Then you got Tommy Kinsler. He can compete for a job. And then maybe for that left tackle spot, you go out and get like the best left tackle available in the portal. It's not going to be cheap, but I'm sure somebody will be available. But yeah, Pancake's progress is massive. And that's just one guy. Imagine how Tommy Kinsler is going to look next year. Imagine how Juan Minaya is going to look next year. Imagine how, not just Cantwell, the other freshman that's coming in. Oh man, I'm forgetting Joel Irving. Imagine how good he might be right out of the gate. You never know. So now my only concern for next year, honestly, is quarterback, because we're going to be loaded at receiver, loaded at running back. I think we're going to be maybe a bit of a step down at O-line, but still probably a top 20 O-line in the country, top 25 O-line. Fine, I'll take it if it helps us develop young guys and keep building that factory, fine. Defense is going to be loaded. You do lose Bain, but I think you're replenishing with some great talent. You do keep Poyser, you keep Lucas, you keep Frederic. Man, if we can figure out quarterback for next year, whether it's a portal guy or Luke Nickel just develops like crazy, I feel good about the roster next year. Davis has a leg accuracy has been the issue. Yeah, that's what I've heard. But he looked pretty accurate that night. He was kicking the ball nice and straight. We were playing for the run most of the game. Once Carr had to throw, Heatherman sent the Army. See, Fitzgerald was out there on that last drive. Staff must feel very confident a true freshman to put out there late in the game with so much at stake. Yeah, Fitzgerald was out there on a lot of third downs, believe it or not. I noticed that. They really believe in him. And he's one of the guys that I would love to see get a lot of burn against Bethune Cookman. That way, you keep building that depth in the secondary because you knew you had good starters with Poyser and Jacoby Thomas. And then you have Dylan Day, and then you have Markeith Williams, two guys with experience. But if you can add Bryce Fitzgerald, who I don't think anybody could foresee him contributing this early and having snaps that are that big, that's been a fantastic surprise. So he'll add some depth in a room that a lot of us thought coming out of the spring was going to be a little thin. Not so much. It's actually going to be one of our strengths, it seems like. Pancake taking McCoy's job at left guard. Again, I'm hoping both stay for next year. They'll both get playing time next year because I think Inez Cooper's probably gone. I think we portal QB again for next year. I'm fine with that. I think there's going to be some good guys available, believe it or not. I don't think Byron Brown stays at USF. That's just me personally. I don't think CJ Bailey stays at NC State. I think the market, it's going to be a sweepstakes again. The market for QBs is going to be probably the best one yet because of what they can get paid. If they go to a smaller school, put on a year or two of good tape, crazy. The kid from Cal, it's Cal, right? That true freshman that put on a show in his first game. That kid they're going to tamper with him like crazy. And I'm talking like college football in general. A bunch of teams are going to tamper with him. Playing time won't be easy to get a QB if Dawson leaves. No, it won't. Hoodie Girl saying we just got to pay Dawson. By the way, playing time, thank you for the dono. Appreciate it. Hoodie Girl, you think Dawson stays a fourth year if we pay him? I need to see the Cal QB play a team with a pulse. Look, sometimes you see a QB against nobody, and even though there's not much resistance, you could see his talent. Like Darian Mensah, for example, at Duke. That boy's smooth. He can play. I'd like to see him against better competition as well, but you see the talent on him. Just like Underwood with Michigan, you see the talent there. So Cal, I'm very, very impressed with that kid. Not even going to try to pronounce his name. I'm sure as the season goes, I'll learn it. Love what I saw from Day and Chase Smith on D, two absolute thumpers. Yeah, neither one of those is afraid to hit. Chase Smith, I'm really happy for him, just not just on a personal level, but as a player to finally get a chance to put hopefully a full year of good tape out there because he's got NFL measurables. He can go places. He can go far. I think if we pay Dawson, he'll stay. Only way he leaves is if a decent P4 team offers. I don't think he's leaving for just anyone. No, I think if he'll leave for something, it'll be like an NFL OC job. That's just my opinion. I know there were rumors with him, possibly going to the New York Giants, or maybe if the Giants drafted Cam Ward, I know that was the rumor that they would try to go get him as their OC. But if Dawson stays a fourth year, oh my God, yeah, that'll be 3 years in a row. We'll just get the top QB in the portal, I think. But even if he doesn't stay, if you can go get somebody that can run this modern day kind of marriage of the power run game and the spread offense that Mario and Dawson have kind of successfully done. If you can get another OC that runs anything similar, I think you'll still be okay. Plus, this will be not one, not two, but three first-round quarterbacks under Mario's watch. People are going to see that and be like, okay, that's not an accident. Of course, I'm talking about Herbert, Cam Ward, and now hopefully Carson Beck. He definitely has a chance to soar up that draft board. George thinks Dawson stays. Okay. Hey, man, if we find ourselves in the Final Four, maybe playing for a national championship, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, if we make some kind of a deep run, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Dawson may leave, but the elite O-line won't. Portal QBs will come. Yeah, there's Dawson isn't the only reason QBs come here. Trust me. Okay. Let's see, what else do I want to cover? So the kicker, for now at least, no longer an issue. I can breathe a little easier when Carter Davis steps out there to kick a field goal. I think another concern was wide receiver going into this game. How are they going to play against that secondary? I thought, considering who they were playing against, considering JoJo was on a tight pitch count, wasn't quite ready yet. Same with Lofton. With all that stuff happening, I thought our receivers balled out. I really did. Now, were they getting open every play? No, you're not going to against that secondary, but they did a great job with what they had. You had Keelan Marion doing, I thought he was just going to be a gadget player. I thought he was just going to be running jet sweeps and things like that and just running go routes. No, he was running real wide receiver routes. He was running different routes from the route tree, getting open one-on-one, winning battles, and making important catches. Another one, CJ Daniels. I mean, we expected him to do that. He made not just the insane catch, but he made a few catches in traffic that make me very excited for what's to come with CJ Daniels. I think that dude is going to be a real leader on this offense. Didn't use the tight ends pretty much at all. Lofton had one 15-yard catch. Let's see who else. JoJo, the short time he was in there, blocked really well. I cannot wait to see him actually fully integrated into the offense. Hopefully we see that this Saturday. I'm trying to think. Oh, Malachi, obviously. So really it was just Marion, Malachi, and Daniels doing all the damage. That's it. That's all they had. So as guys get more integrated into the offense, I think you're going to see things open up a bit. You're going to see a deeper rotation. Rotations were tight for this game because of who you were playing and because it was week one. The way college football is, I'd rather stay, get paid, and not deal with the recruiting grief. Yeah. All right. So that was another concern of mine going into the season. Not a big concern, but a little one. That how good is our wide receiver room really against tough competition? They proved to be pretty damn good. And again, a limited rotation. So no longer a concern for me at all, the wide receiver group. And trying to think who else. Oh, of course, the D tackle depth. That's something that everybody was talking about. They pretty much stayed with their starters for most of the game, unless they went into like a NASCAR package or something and you saw Blunt or Mesidor lining up a D tackle. You're going to see that rotation now expand. And that leads me now into what I want to see in the Bethune-Cookman game. The first and foremost, aside from the obvious, no injuries, yeah, of course. I want to see us get off to a really fast start. I want to be up 3-4 touchdowns in the second quarter. So Beck, go sit down. I want Beck to be in street clothes and flip-flops by like halfway through the second quarter. I don't even want to see him play the entire first half. There's no need. Just give him a few. 4 drives, 5 drives. By then, we should build a sizable lead, and I think we're fine. I want to see all the running backs get some burn, give Fletcher a handful of carries, Marty Brown a couple of carries. Jordan Lyle, depending how he's feeling, if he's 100% healthy, give him a little burn. But I want to see a lot of Gerard Pringle and Chris Wheatley-Humphrey. I want to see a ton of those two guys. The backup offensive lineman, any chance you get to get those guys some reps, do it. The Manias, the Wilkersons, those guys, get them in there, get them as many snaps as they can. That way, when they're called upon next year, they're ready to go. So definitely want to see some of those backup linemen in there. The receivers, I mean, I had completely forgotten about Dalen Upshaw. Talking about this game. It's like, oh yeah, Moore got in there. He had a catch. Malachi balled out. It's like, oh wait, Upshaw. I didn't even see him. Nikar, forgot about him. Like, these guys that I forgot about, I would love to see them get some burn in the game. Chance Robinson, another one. But definitely Pringle. Definitely the quarterbacks. Luke Nickel, I want to see him get like at least the fourth quarter. Give him that. That way he starts getting his feet wet, getting some reps. I think this is the perfect scenario for him to do it. Emory Williams, I want to see him play at least a quarter and a half, maybe, like a quarter and a half. That way Beck gets like a quarter and a half, he gets a quarter and a half, and Luke Nickel gets the fourth. I think that's good. And on defense, I want to see Kellen Wiley. I want to see more Bryce Fitzgerald. And I want to see who is going to emerge as that fourth D tackle. Because again, we saw the three, Blay, Scott, Moten, all three of them played great. Awesome. You don't want to burn them out. You don't want to run them into the ground. Let them play, again, first half. I want to see Dante Simpson rotate in there. I want to see Artavius Jones rotate in there. Armando Blunt. He may not have the body yet, but maybe this is the game where you try him at D tackle just to see what you got. I still think he probably needs another year to like put on the weight before he's playing actual like first and second down reps at defensive tackle, realistically. But I think that's where his future spot is. So I definitely want to see a little bit of D tackle depth start to get established in this game. But as far as guys that I want to see specifically, that's pretty much it. I want to see Upshaw, want to see Pringle, want to see Fitzgerald, definitely Kellen Wiley. I think Kellen Wiley is really going to be a weapon for our linebacker room. If you can get him, get him going, get his confidence up, by the time the Florida game rolls around, that's somebody you can throw in there with some speed and some size. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as things I want to see in the Bethune-Cookman game. I like to see that freshman tight end. Ooh, Brock Schott. Yes, I want to see him too. Renowned saying wide receiver routes look crisp all around. Shout out to Coach Beard. Yes, one of my favorite coaches on the staff, honestly. He may not be known for recruiting prowess necessarily. I don't think he's a bad recruiter. I think he's brought in some great talent. Maybe he just misses on like the top 5-star guys, but they'll come. They'll come as they keep seeing guys like Malachi Toney ball out at 17 years old when they're supposed to be in calculus class or something. Nah, they're playing big boy football already at 17 years old, making plays. You saw Calvin Russell, his best buddy, there in the locker room celebrating with him. So that kind of thing has an effect. We'll bring in those guys. So I'm not worried about that. What I was more concerned about a few years ago when we brought Kevin Beard in was development. Is he going to get the most out of the guys that we have in the room? And he has. The 3 guys we had last year, none of them were drafted, unfortunately, and Isaiah Horton ended up transferring. He may regret that decision now that he's at Alabama. But wish the best for him. But, man, I mean, he could have really balled out in this offense this year. But Jacoby, Xavier, none of them got drafted. But they were highly productive in college. To me, that's a good developer. He took guys that maybe don't have NFL measurables. They don't have the NFL speed, the NFL size. But you know what? I'm going to make you a productive starter. Now imagine what he does with a Tyron Evans who's 6'3", 220. Or, a Malachi Toney with the talent and just dog mentality that he has. Or Joshua Moore, 6'3", 200 pounds that can fly. Now you're getting these body types in. Imagine what Kevin Beard can do with that. I'm very excited. Tony's change of direction is just nuts. And that was on a wet field. Yeah, the wet field is another thing I was going to mention earlier. Thank you for reminding me. people talking about the conservative gameplay earlier that we're pounding the rock. Had that been a dry field, we probably have even more traction and we're gashing them for longer runs. For sure, against any other team on the schedule, we're gashing them, and probably getting 6-yard runs, 10-yard runs, maybe taking one the distance. So, that's something that people were forgetting. At 17 years old, bracketed and shadowed by the first round corner. Yeah, crazy. But anyways, guys, just wanted to come on a little bit and touch on the recruiting stuff with Kenton Dobson. Hopefully some great recruiting news coming soon. I do believe that Notre Dame game had an effect on a lot of recruits that were there. I think this will begin the process of maybe flipping a couple of dudes. I think we were going to flip a couple of dudes regardless, but this win, I think, really will cement a couple of those. So we'll see, but keep your eyes peeled for that. I think good recruiting news is coming in the near future. Aside from that, thank you guys for coming on. We got Canes football again in a couple of days. Hopefully it's a nice, clean, emphatic blowout victory where guys get a lot of reps. And please go hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And as always, roll up those U's, go Canes. Have a good night.